This hour has 22 minutes.
Good evening. Sydney Jabeznik is away this week. She's joining over 1,000 Jabezniks at the annual Jabeznik family reunion somewhere on the prairies. In tonight's lead story, having lowered taxes on cigarettes last week, making cigarettes more accessible to all Canadians, young and old, this week the Chrétien Liberals began production on a series of ads aimed at youth. A leaked copy has fallen into the hands of our research wing here at this hour.
Okay, so what's the average Canadian kid's allowance? $5 to $7 a week? So, okay, with that, you could go to one movie, and there's your allowance blown, or get a full meal deal at some grotty fast food emporium. But now, through the two die for generosity, the Canadian tobacco industry, and those really old but still quite gnarly guys in the federal government, you could access cigarettes. With your $7 allowance, you can buy up to 3 packs. Okay, so that's 20 stand-up pals in every package. Never be lonely again, okay?
Thanks to the Liberal government, you can banish adolescent angst and keep your weight down, too.
Werner Schmidt, the Reform MP for the BC riding of Okanagan, says that quoting Adolf Hitler was a mistake.
Schmidt denied he was actually a sheep in wolf's clothing and went on to say that the use of the Hitler quote was a simple mix-up. The newsletter was actually supposed to have quoted Benito Mussolini.
In next month's Reform Party newsletter, the musings of Attila the Hun.
And residents of Quebec City have been faced with their worst winter in over 65 years.
They've had to deal with bad publicity surrounding illegal cigarette sales, a rash of winter carjackings, icy roads, and now, to make matters worse, some guy in a big fat stupid snowman costume is bothering people while they try to eat.
Newfoundland Premier Clyde Wells. What makes him tick? We sent our crack investigative unit, that would be me, to find out.
We are here now at Dalhousie University in a room full of potential lawyers. It's a frightening thought, but I'm going to stay here. We're going to talk to Mr. Wells, Premier Wells of Newfoundland, about his personal life, the man behind the myth. The speech is about to start. It's scheduled to last about 45 minutes, but I'm sure it will seem longer.
This is the map of the Northwest Atlantic Fisheries Organization, commonly called NAFO.
And so the fun began. He spoke about the breakdown of Aquarian society and lawlessness at sea, and he placed the blame squarely where it belongs.
Fish don't obey men's laws.
These and other Wellesian pearls were put before the audience, but still nothing of a personal nature was revealed. It was now up to us to shed some light on this most mysterious of men. Wells, when you were a little boy, who were your heroes? Was it a constitutional lawyer, a chief economist?
I suppose I had the same kind of heroes. It might have been Batman, or it might have been a cowboy, or it wasn't a spaceman, because in those days there weren't spacemen.
As Clyde Wells continues his ascendancy, we might all be grateful that there were no spacemen in those early formative years. How different things might have turned out for us all. Molly?
Clyde Wells, well-loved by all who don't know him. And now we'll take a look at some stories that we are working on for future broadcast.
On assignment, J.B. Dixon takes an insider's look at racial intolerance in a feature-length, documentary-styled investigative report. This hour's very own J.B. Dixon fearlessly dons hidden audio and video surveillance equipment. After undergoing 17 hours in an intensive cultural immersion and makeover. J.B. Dixon, now a new man, takes to the streets and social clubs of this country that we call Canada. In the weeks to come on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, a shocking report. Seek like me.
For those of you who thought the Progressive Conservative Party was dead, think again. Tories gathered in Halifax over the weekend to hammer out new policy initiatives and to have a little fun. The evening's entertainment culminated in a spirited karaoke session, and this hour's cameras were there. Mr. Charest! Mr. Stanfield, invited Tory guests. Welcome to the 90s. Welcome to Tory karaoke. Let's keep the momentum going.
I didn't choose to be a Tory. It wasn't a choice. It's not a lifestyle choice like homosexuality. I was born a Tory. Just like some people were born with blonde hair or blue eyes or 2 sex organs.
Where have all the Tories gone? Elections passing, I want to know, where have all the Tories gone? Many months ago, I want to know just 2 seats in Parliament. Vote or not want the government. Avril Kim Campbell's fault. Avril Kim Campbell's fault.
You know, God built the world in 7 days, and Jean Charest is like God. He will not rebuild this party in 7 days, but he will rebuild this party in 7 years. So what we are saying is Charest 2001 Electoral Odyssey!
Jean Charest rode the boat ashore. Hallelujah. Jean Charest rode the boat ashore. Hallelujah.
Come on.
Elsie Wayne helped to trim the sails. Hallelujah. Elsie Wayne helped to trim the sails. Hallelujah. Did I ever say Charest's my hero? He's everything, he's my MP. And I will always vote blue. Will always vote blue. Charest 2001. Charest 2001. Charest 2001. Charest 2001. Charest 2001. Charest 2001.
A small Canadian town was terrified this week when they heard rumors that 2 escaped mental patients were heading their way.
Eventually, 2 bizarre-looking people did show up and marched down Main Street as if they were in a parade in their own minds. Upon investigation, it turned out they were actually escaped fashion designers modeling Canada's new Olympic costumes. The 2 designers were serving a 6-year sentence for crimes against humanity for making Canadian athletes look really, really dumb in Albertville.
The royal tour down under has not been lucky for Great Britain's future king, Charles, Prince of Wales. Fired at with blanks 2 weeks ago, Prince Charles remained unruffled and serene. He simply shot his cuff and carried on with the day. I guess that's what the royals are trained for, grace under fire. But when earlier last week the future king was attacked by an aerosol freshener-wielding assailant, Charles again displayed the same royal nonchalance. Gee, even Mr. Ed would have been somewhat startled. Not that I'm in any way implying that the future King of England looks anything like that well-loved TV star, Mr. Ed, or that he is in any way horsey. The word equine didn't even enter my head in relation to the prince. And I want to go on record right now as saying that Camilla Parker Bowles does not, to me, in any way resemble some old Gigi headed for the glue factory. And listen, I don't even want to talk about Princess Anne. But boy, talk about casual, unconcerned, imperturbable. Does the phrase genetic pool the size of a shot glass ring any bells for anyone?
In China last month, we saw the end of the Year of the Rooster. The Tibetan New Year began last week with the Year of the Dog, and the riding of Markham, Ontario's New Year began yesterday with the Year of the Cornered Weasel.
I would say that since the beginning of time, mankind has been trying to figure out new ways to reduce taxes. And obviously, the solution is a simple one. It's been staring us in the face the whole time. smuggle, steal, defraud. Clyde Wells is an avid anti-smoker, and yet he endorsed a reduction in cigarette taxes, and he said he did it in the spirit of national unity. National unity? The man said no to Meech Lake. He says yes to this? He must have some sort of romantic notion of us all coughing up blood from sea to shining sea. But see, the upside of this is, if it works for cigarettes, it'll have to work for everything else. Like, say, none of us pay our income tax on time this year. Well, they'll just have to lower the income tax. And hey, forget buying booze. We should start stealing it. And then, when they say, halt, police, on the way out the door, we'll just turn around and say, can't boy, too many taxes. If we actually do that, taxes will go down and we'll leave a better tax-free nation for generations to come. Of course, we'd be heading towards anarchy at a pretty quick rate too, but hey, part of me says that maybe anarchy wouldn't be that bad. We could have a system of anarchy with no taxes but lots of rules. Okay, maybe we need a police force to enforce the rules. And for that matter, I'm pretty well hooked on water and sewer, and I guess a social safety net wouldn't go astray. How are we going to pay for it all? Idea, how about we put a tariff on cigarettes? There's 5.5 million smokers in Canada. I'd say we charge them somewhere in the ballpark of $1,100 a pack. That ought to do it.
This year, federal civil servants and most of their provincial counterparts will be attending mandatory gender sensitivity training in an attempt to end sexual harassment in Canada's workplace. We are now joined by two critics of the program who work in the civil service, Bernie Metcalf and Bob Peterson. Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. McGuire.
Mandatory gender sensitivity workshops. How do you feel about them?
Well, it's gone too far, Molly. It's gone too far.
You can't say boo now, Molly.
What's gone too far?
And the federal government, as far as they're concerned, women good, men bad.
Do men in traditionally male-dominated occupations resent having women in the workplace?
No, we love women, Molly. Love
Yes,
them.
Molly, I would have to say we love women, or the female persons, or the fairer mammal, or whatever it is the correct term this week. But that's changed the workplace, Molly.
How has it changed?
Well, we used to have a smoking room, that's gone. And now you go in there and chest feeding in public.
Chest feeding?
No, not that there's anything wrong with it, Molly, but it's like walking in the middle of a National Geographic special in there.
I guess you'd know, Mr. Metcalf.
And if you happen to go over and say something...
You know, to break the ice.
To relieve the tension.
Give her a compliment, say, you know, she's looking healthy. Next thing, up on charges.
Are you gentlemen, I use the term very loosely, presently up on any charges?
No, not yet. And you used to be able to have a joke and call out, you know, take off your top.
Yeah.
But that's not allowed anymore.
No, and compliments are out. You're not allowed to say, that skirt looks nice on you, or that's a nice length skirt, or you should wear more skirts.
Anything about skirts is out, apparently.
Oh, and God help you if you mention weight loss.
Or say, can I listen to it kick?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's only your God-given physical body, Molly.
So you can't even open the door with him now without him growling at you.
Sure, we're after losing all our sensitivity points.
It's like we're lepers, Molly. Not that there's anything wrong with lepers.
I get the feeling you guys had a kind of fun clubhouse thing on the go and someone made you take down your no girls allowed sign?
I love women in the clubhouse, the workplace, Molly. Sure, they had one woman in our department there for a couple of months, and I idolized her. And they got rid of her. Can you believe that? They got rid of her just because she couldn't type. Sure, I could have typed. I could have covered for her.
Sure, he got a shrine built to her, Molly, and everything up there.
She was beautiful, Molly.
Look at that, Molly. Look at the beard on her.
Beautiful.
How does that look like a man that needs gender sensitivity training?
No, but he does look like a man who should be permanently attached to an estrogen drip. Good night, men, and I hope I'm not insulting any of my penis-ridden friends. time to play Judges Say the Darndest Things. And let's start right in with question number 1. Who said rules are like women? They're made to be violated. Steve Studd from the adult film Babes, 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 and more XXX Babes, the Marquis de Sade, or Quebec Court Judge Denis Dion? And the answer is, of course, Judge Denis Dion! Question number 2. Who was overheard to remark that a 3-year-old child had been sexually aggressive? American shock jock Howard Stern on a particularly repulsive broadcast? Hunter S. Thompson, so hopped up on wild turkey and speedballs that he'd lost all reason? Or County Court Judge Peter Vanderhoop of British Columbia? And the answer is Judge Peter Vanderhoop! Next. Sometimes a slap in the face might be all she needs, and might not be such unreasonable force after all. Real Valentine sentiments from Sean Connery being less than discreet in an interview, Michael Douglas almost any day of the week, or Judge Ken Peters of the Manitoba Provincial Court. And the answer is, of course, Judge Ken Peters! Stay tuned next week when this hour looks at the gaffes of those crazy Canadian coppers when we play Police Pummelings on Private Person's Parts. J.B. Dixon has spent the last 123 hours without sleep, searching the Auditor General's report in order to bring you, yes, it's true. J.B.?
Thank you, Molly. Hello and welcome to Yes, It's True. It is a tough old world out there, don't tell me. And all of us have had bad days in the past, days where things will just not go right. Be it a fender bender out in the parking lot or a pair of gloves left behind on the bus. However, if you're a federal civil servant, these mishaps can be turned into cold, hard cash. Just ask Joanne Gagnon-Roy. She shut the filing cabinet drawer on her ring last year, and out of the goodness of your hearts, you, the taxpayer, gave her $432 in compensation. Or what about Marilyn Park? She got her feet wet on a work day, so she was compensated $150 for damage to her shoes. But probably the saddest story of all belongs to poor old Alain Latendre, who lost his raincoat while he was at a conference in Ottawa. And we felt so bad about it, we just said, here's $122 for your troubles. Now, if you are not a civil servant, don't you worry, because this works for prisoners, too. Just ask Alan Coulter, serving a 9-year prison sentence for armed robbery. And apparently, while playing racquetball, the poor guy, he somehow slipped on some water there in the prison's recreational facilities. So now you, the taxpayers, are going to give him $18,750 in compensation. No lie. I think all of us should just give ourselves a big slap on the back and congratulate ourselves. The federal treasury, really? Just one big UNICEF box. Yes, it's true.
Well, here it is, 3 p.m., February the 14th, Valentine's Day. And not a cheap chocolate, not a gaudy card, not even a lousy carnation has crawled across the doorstep at my house. And I imagine on highways all across Canada, Canadian men in their private grief containers are driving home to their little Canadian woman when it suddenly hits them they forgot Valentine's Day again this year. Love. Defined as a powerful emotion felt for another person, manifesting itself in devotion and affection. Gee, Bun, I don't know what you're going on about. Always put the garbage out. Well, I guess in a pinch, the transportation of a bag of garbage from the kitchen out to the sidewalk could be seen in some very love-impoverished cultures as devotion. But I can't see how anyone could stretch it to affection. Anyway, who needs some pin-dick, demented dodo to buy you flowers anyway? You can buy your own flowers, flowers you like, not some hideous, death-like arrangement of mums, carnation, and baby breath jammed into some heart-shaped mug. Valentine's. What a crock. I'm not happy, but I'm not unhappy about it. This year, I bought myself some beautiful tulips, a package of love hearts, and now a sappy card. Though no man is an island, so they say, every woman ought to be, especially on Valentine's Day. Here's my Valentine's booty. Proof positive that I am loved, cherished, well thought of, at least by me. You're cute. Well, I am sort of cute and endearing.
Well, JB and I took quite a hit from Cupid's little arrow earlier this week, and, well, here's something for our favorite Valentine anchor.
You guys. Oh. Smokes. Cheap smokes.
No, now, Molly. A lot of time and effort went into this present, and we bought these cigarettes before the tax cut, and I would say I probably paid out about $50 for those cigarettes.
I think we probably paid out about $50 for those cigarettes.
Well, I'm speechless.
Well, that's the way we saw the world this very special Valentine's Day 1994. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Why did it say love to be sold in Canada?
Oh, that's not supposed to be.